Nous sommes en audience publique, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much. Witness, welcome back. Mr. Khan will continue asking you questions. This is to let you know that that red light is on, which tells you that we are now in public session. Now, I want you to again remember what I told you earlier. You must listen carefully, although I have not reminded you of that since Mr. Khan started asking his questions. I want you to listen carefully to Mr. Khan's questions and understand questions he's asking you, and then you give your answer to his questions very truthfully. I do not want you to get into an argument with lawyers who are asking you questions, or ask them questions back yourself. That is not how the court system works. You will answer his questions, and as I already advised you when you arrived, you should not worry about the fairness of the questions being asked of you. The judges here are here, and part of our job, a large part of it, is to ensure that witnesses are not asked unfair questions. All right? So Mr. Khan will continue his questions of you. Listen to his questions, understand them, and then answer. Okay? Thank you.
I'm grateful. And Mr. President, before I start, I would ask for the kind assistance of the court officer. I'm going to play a couple of videos in due course, and because I wasn't expecting to play them now, we have the references, but if my learned friend can assist with, once I give the EVD numbers, to actually put them on and play them in the usual way, I'd be grateful.
Before we proceed, you did, in the exercise so far, we've seen some materials. What do you want to do with them? I realize we're in public session.
Yes, Your Honour. I will. Maybe it's a good opportunity. At tab 24, which is Ken D09 0030 0025, the witness confirmed that that was the school. I'd ask that that be exhibited.
Mr. Khan, you know we've rejected in the past these sort of clearly stitched up panoramic shots. It used to be the case in the past that photographs required the calling of the photographer to testify, but that's been dispensed with in modern times. But then technology comes in where we have stitching technology. Are you saying that this is a shot from a wide-angle camera that did not require stitching? If it involved the technological stitching, we will not accept it.
Your Honour, I'm grateful for that. Unless people outside misunderstand, the stitching is not anything inappropriate. It's a technical process, I understand. Your Honour, it was taken with an iPhone. Simple as that. But the point is, weight can be decided later. And we, of course, hope that the bench will come and have a site visit after the prosecution case. But, Your Honour, the witness has accepted that's the premises. And so weight can be accorded later.
Do you have the separate frames of these photos that I presume were combined together to form the panoramic image?
Your Honour, my colleague that took the photograph, I was present, is in the field. But my understanding, and I won't say more than that, is one doesn't stitch it. One has a feature where you can take a photograph in a different way. But I didn't actually operate the phone, my friend.
That's the difficulty. Let's mark this for
so be it.
ID for now, pending
I'm grateful.
clarification. And if you can have separate frames. If that's what happened, let us know as well.
I'm grateful. And Your Honour, the next is Ken D09 0030 0027, which is a photograph of the principal of that establishment. I'd ask that that be marked for identification. The witness couldn't recognise the photograph.
It will be marked for identification.
Your Honour, at tab 7 is the father's house that the witness identified as being the place that he was staying in 2007, and that's Ken D09 0030 0008.
Prosecution, any objection?
To that item, no objection.
Will be admitted as next in the Ruto defense exhibit.
Your Honour, the next, Ken D09 0050 0013, is at tab 12. It's another view of the house. The witness said that's the house, but it looks a little bit different from when he last saw it. I'd ask that that be given an exhibit number, please.
Prosecution,
Again, no objection to that item.
admitted as the next in the Ruto defense exhibits.
Your Honour, the next two will just be, my request would be that they be marked for identification. The first is at tab 14, which shows a geological feature, or that's what I put to the witness. Ken D09 0030 0015.
Will be marked for ID.
And Your Honour, another is Ken D09 0030 D016, which was the path just before that.
Again, will be marked for ID.
And Your Honour, the last, in fact, and I'm grateful to my learned friends, Miss Laurie and Miss Allegendra, is Ken D09 0030 0021. It's a photograph of an individual that the witness recognised. The pointing photograph.
What? Okay. Why are we tendering it for the individual or for...
Yes. Well, Your Honour, it relates to the testimony that he recognised the individual and where the person lived, and the proximity.
Now, what do you want us to do with this? Marked for ID?
Marked for identification.
Oh, right, I see.
Sorry, exhibited, Your Honour. He's accepted the individual in the photograph as being the person whose name was given in private. And also that the home of that person, and I don't want to say more in public, the home of that person has a certain proximity to the home of his father. The word hill.
I want to understand why then we are admitting it for exhibit. For what purpose?
Your Honour, an individual will come later on who's a defence witness, and I don't want any confusion about who the person is or where the person lived at the time. And so, Your Honour, when this witness has seen the photograph...
So let's separate the issues. You are not seeking to admit that particular exhibit for the landscape. You are admitting it merely for the person shown on the photo. Is that it?
No, Your Honour, it's both. The witness was asked very clearly, do you know the person? He gave the name. That's one ground of admissibility by itself. If it was a black background, of course, the evidence could go in. But the witness went further and accepted that that person whose name was given in private session lived on a certain elevation. And, Your Honour, matter of weight can be discussed later. I'll say no more at the moment. The bottom line is, Your Honour, it should be exhibited, and we can argue about weight and admissibility and probative value at a later point, unless Your Honour wishes to hear more submissions, in which case we may have to go into private session.
Prosecution.
Mr. President, if it is going to be exhibited, it should be for the sole purpose of identifying the individual when the photograph was put to the witness, a number of propositions relating to that image were put to the witness. He agreed with some, he did not agree with all. It's in the record what those propositions were in his responses, so we submit it's sufficient to exhibit the photo simply for identifying the individual, and on that basis we wouldn't object.
We would accept the exhibit for purely the person shown in the photo and not for the landscape.
Your Honour, and can I just, for the record, refer the bench to page 20, line 17, to the end, in which the questions were given. But Your Honour, I'll move on.
We'll move on. I know what you're saying, but that testimony is not necessarily particular to the landscape indicated in the picture as such.
I'm grateful.
Yes.
Neuf 00300025 confidentiel se verra attribuer la cote MFI T D09 00143. Le document KEN D09 00300027 confidentiel se verra attribuer la cote MFI T D09 00144. Le document KEN D09 00300008 se verra attribuer la cote EVD T D09 00145. Le document KEN D09 00300013 confidentiel se verra attribuer la cote EVD T D09 00146. Le document KEN D09 00300015 se verra attribuer la cote MFI T D09 00147. Le document KEN D09 00300016 se verra attribuer la cote MFI T D09 00148. Le document KEN D09 00300021 se verra attribuer la cote EVD T D09 00149. Tous ces documents sont confidentiels.
Mr. Cannon.
I'm grateful. Mr. Witness, you said yesterday that you, and over the last few days, that you attended rallies that you've spoken about. And you've spoken about the Honourable Henry Koski quite a bit. Is that right?
De quoi il vient?
And the account you've given the court is that Honourable Koski in 2007 was going around these rallies telling people to get rid of Kikuyus and Kissis and Luyas and Luas and everybody who's not Kalenjin. Isn't that right?
Si kusema, alisema wafukuze.
Everybody except the Kalenjin should be uprooted and thrown out, kicked out of the rift. That's your evidence to this court, is it not?
Sio hivyo nilisema.
You didn't tell the court that he was going around repeating identical words at these 5 rallies you've spoken about, saying, uproot the trees, which you meant to be everybody except the Kalenjin. Is that what you said, or have you changed your mind?
Ilikuwa hivyo.
Interpretation.
He was violently against the PNU led by Honorable Kibaki. Is that right?
Ni hivyo.
Are you aware that the son of the Honorable Henry Koski was standing as a PNU candidate in the 2007 elections? Are you aware of that witness?
Nilikuwa nimejua N. Koske ndiye amesimama katika ODM.
Are you aware that Henry Koski, the Honorable Henry Koski, has a son, Alex Koski, who was standing as a PNU parliamentary candidate in 2007?
Yeye
Let's see if this triggers your mind. Are you aware that he had failed, he had not succeeded, Mr. Alex Koski, in getting the nomination for ODM for the Mgwen constituency, and so he crossed over to NARC and stood under the PNU umbrella in 2007? Does that help your recollection?
hiyo sikumbuki kwa sababu sio eneo bunge langu.
Did you watch the confirmation proceedings in this case, witness?
Saa hizi ndio niko, sikuwa nafuatilia.
you didn't watch any of the confirmation hearing in this case. Is that what you're telling the court?
Ndio, sijafata.
Do you have friends, witness? Don't tell me who they are. Do you have friends, people you speak to, have lunch with or coffees with?
Witness, you can say yes or no to that question, but do not mention who your friends may be, if you have friends.
Marafiki siwezi nikakose.
I'm glad to hear it, witness. And did you speak with your friends about the confirmation hearing that was being broadcast in Kenya? Did you discuss what was happening in court?
Sijaongea.
Did they speak to you about it? About the confirmation of charges hearing against William Ruto, Henry Koske, and Joshua Sang?
Hapana.
Witness, you applied to be a victim in this case in 2011 before the confirmation of charges hearing. Were you not interested to know what was happening in this case that you had applied to be part of?
Vile nilisikia wanachukua ndio nilichukulia maanani.
Are you aware that Alan Koske's son, Honourable Henry Koske's son, who represented him in the confirmation hearing, is Mr. Alan Koske? Had you read about that or heard about that or knew about that? Alan Koske, the son of Henry Koske. Are you aware of the name?
Sijui.
Had you ever heard that he was married to a Kikuyu lady? Have you heard about that?
Sijasikia.
Now, witness, I'll go to another topic. You gave evidence yesterday about the nationwide campaign that was the ODM strategy in 2007. And, Your Honours, I'll refer the bench to tab 104. And I'd ask to be put on the screen, Ken D09 0030 R-0176. And to save time, witness, I will just read a section to you. It's from a news report from the Daily Nation, dated Thursday, December the 20th of 2007, and it's headed "Tight Schedule for Raila as he hunts for votes." And then underneath it, it says, ODM candidate uses aircraft to cover wide areas and spends an hour at each rally. And I would be grateful for my learned friend, the court officer's assistance, in zooming in on the third column, directly under the photograph that starts "on average, Mr. Odinga." So it's the third column I'm particularly interested in. And it's the third paragraph from the bottom. And witness, let me read this to you. It says, sorry, just one moment. And so from the top, I'll read it. On average, Mr. Odinga spends... No, in fact, I do apologize. Let me go to the preceding paragraph. Mr. Odinga is usually accompanied by ODM Chairman Henry Koski. So this is the bottom of the second paragraph. Mr. Odinga is usually accompanied by ODM Chairman Henry Koski to most of his meetings. Mr. Koski allows only a local ODM parliamentary candidate and Mr. Odinga to address the gatherings. And then it goes on in the next paragraph. On average, Mr. Odinga spends about an hour and a half at one rally. ODM has two presidential campaign teams. One is headed by Mr. Odinga himself and includes ODM Pentagon members Charity Ngilu and Najib Balala. The other is led by Mr. Musalia Mudavadi, Mr. Odinga's running mate, who works with ODM Pentagon members William Ruto and Joe Nyaga. Witness, you would agree with me, being interested in ODM politics, being a member, that usually at campaign rallies, Mr. Ruto went with Musalia Mudavadi and Mr. Koski normally went with Mr. Odinga and Charity Ngilu and Najib Balala. That's when they were not together, that's how they divided their work up. Is that right?
Mr. Khan, is this witness in a position to answer that question?
Your Honour, this is a witness that stated he joined the ODM party, being interested in politics, and went out, wasn't a passive bystander, but went on vehicles and went to 5 different rallies to hear what the ODM was saying. So in my respectful submission, he was in Kenya, he says, at the time. It was a nationwide election campaign, saturated press coverage, and it's something that he would have known either from television, from newspapers, from headlines, or from gossip in the local coffee shop. And it's something that he can answer, and we'll see in a moment if he can.
So you think he's then in a position to testify to the ODM strategy, campaign strategy at the time?
Your Honour, the question is, in fact, not the strategy. He answered that yesterday, in fact, that ODM was seeking to ask questions regarding the whole of the country. It's regarding the division of responsibilities, that in seeking to promote that message, the ODM campaign message, the ODM leadership was divided. Henry Koski, Honourable Henry Koski, Honourable Raila Odinga, Charity Ngilu, Najib Balala on one hand, and Musalia Mudavadi, team A, the main team, and Musalia Mudavadi, William Ruto, and Joe Nyaga. So, Your Honour, in my respectful submission, this is something that was on television in Kenya all the time. Anybody who was following politics, let alone somebody who had gone a step further and become a member of a political party, would be able to speak that that was the case.
That would be your argument at the end of the day. But you may put a question to the witness if you're talking about a division of the campaign, if he's in a position to answer it.
Witness, are you aware that usually, I'll try again, are you aware, witness, that usually Henry Koskei accompanied the Honourable Raila Odinga to campaign rallies, and they were also accompanied by Charity Ngilu and Najib Balala? Are you aware of that?
Siwezi nikajua.
Yes. And are you aware that the usual partner at campaign meetings of Musalia Mudavadi was Mr. William Ruto and also Joe Nyaga?
Siwezi nikajua.
Your Honours, we'll go to tab 54, and the ERN is Ken OTP 0103-3147. It's from the Standard newspaper, 7th of December 2007. And witness, I'll read it to you before it comes on the screen so you can just focus on my words. It starts, ODM presidential running mate, Mr. Musalia Mudavadi, has dismissed President Kibaki's just concluded tour of Western Province as inconsequential. And then 3 paragraphs below it says, Mudavadi and William Ruto are in a campaign trail in the North Rift. Yesterday they addressed crowds in Kipkaren, Selian, Kapseret and Kessis in Mossop and Eldoret East constituencies. They urge voters not to be lured by empty promises. Speaking at Kipchoge Kano Stadium in Kapsabet, Ruto said, quote-unquote, false prophets were moving around the country trying to scare Kenyans. He said those opposing the Majimbo system of government were the same people who opposed multi-party democracy, yet they were now enjoying the fruit. So my question to you, witness, does this help refresh your memory that William Ruto and Musalia Mudavadi used to campaign very frequently together?
Siwezi nikakubali.
You don't agree or you don't know, witness?
Sijui.
Are you aware, or had you heard, that they had addressed crowds in Kipkaren, Selian, Kapseret and Kessis and Eldoret East? Had you heard about those rallies that William Ruto and Musalia Mudavadi spoke at?
Siwezi nikafahamu.
Witness, did you attend an ODM rally in Kapsabet at the Kipchoge Keino Stadium?
Sijahudhuria Kapsabet mkutano.
But your evidence to this court is clear, is it not? From the rallies you've spoken about, the 3 rallies that you say you heard Mr. Ruto speak, he was telling the audience that that area was really for Kalenjin, and non-Kalenjins, including the Luyas, should be booted out. Is that right?
Sema hivyo.
Is it your evidence, Mr. Witness, or is it not, that the message that you have attributed to Mr. William Ruto at these 3 meetings was that non-Kalenjins, including the Luyas, should be uprooted and chased away? Or is that not your evidence?
Sikusema hivyo, nisema alitumia midhali katika lugha.
And your evidence to the court is the figurative language that you have attributed to William Ruto was meant to convey a message that non-Kalenjins, including the Luyas, should be chased away from the area. Is that right or not, sir?
Ni hivyo.
And I'm going to play you, witness, a prosecution video, a video the prosecution have given to the defense. And it's Ken OTP -0036 -0101. And I'd ask that that could be played from 1:08.38, so 1 hour, 8 minutes and 38 seconds, until 1 hour, 10 minutes and 11 seconds. So and Your Honour, it's tab 63. And I'm interested in lines 1, 3, 4, 5.
Lines 1, 3, 4, 5, you said?
Your Honour, it'll be page 38 and 39 on the transcript you have under tab 38, and it's from lines 1308 to 1342. So page 38 and 39 on the hard copy of the transcript under tab 38, from 1308 to, on the next page, line 1342. Your Honour, it's been previously exhibited already as a Ruto Defence Exhibit 86. Your Honour, I think the tab, if I misspoke, is at 63. tab 63. It's my fault.
No, you did say 63.
Mr. Khan, is the video public or confidential, please?
I'm grateful. I'm grateful it's public. Thank you.
Wangoja ama bado? Tarehe ngapi? Tarehe ngapi? Wanasikia hawasikii? Tuko pamoja? Tuko
Your Honour, I was just suggesting that on the screen the frame could be moved a little bit to the right-hand side. But, Your Honour, we can continue. It's fine.
pamoja. Wewe mtu Mluya usidanganywe ati unajua hii majimbo ati utafukuzwa. Mtu kama umenunua shamba hapa, umetoka Western, umetoka Pokot, umetoka Lamu, umetoka Vanga na uko na shamba yako hapa, hapa ni nyumbani kwako. Tunaelewana? Na katiba inalinda haki ya kila Mkenya. Tunaelewana ama hatuelewani? Vita kati ya Mkenya na Mkenya sio ajenda ya ODM. Vita ya ODM ni dhidi ya umaskini, ukosefu wa kazi na ubaguzi yenye tumeona kwa Kenya hii kwa miaka hii yote. Hiyo ndio vita yetu. Tunaelewana ama hatuelewani? Ile vita ya Wakenya kupigana, waulize Moi na Kibaki, ndio wanajua. Tuko pamoja ama hatuko pamoja? Na wote wako PNU, ndio ma experts wanajua wao. Tuko pamoja? Tunaelewana? Kwa hivyo usidanganywe ati majimbo ati utafukuzwa. Serikali ya mashinani ndio itafanya mtoto wako apate nafasi sawa na mtoto ya yule anayejulikana Nairobi. Sasa huna nafasi. Tunaelewana?
I'm grateful. Mr. Witness, we haven't been given any tape or any video of the words you say, Mr. Ruto, said at these rallies, but I want to read in English for the record what the prosecution have given us that he did say.
Are you saying that this is prosecution video?
This is prosecution evidence given to the defense.
The video?
The video. And the translation. So the translation I'm reading is Ken OTP 0090-0584 from line 1308. And it's Ruto Defense Team Exhibit number 88. That's the translation. Witness, this is what Mr. Ruto says in Kapsabet. If you are a Luya, don't be deceived. They say, you know, with this devolution, you will be chased out. If you have bought a farm here, whether you are from Western Province, or from Pokot, or from Lamu, or from Vanga, if you have a farm here, this is your home. There's applause from the crowd.
Mr. Khan, you might assist the record if you reflected what's within quotation marks, because you read on, and I noticed
I'm grateful.
There's something in
Indeed.
quotes there.
Then in parentheses, it says applause from the crowd at 1 hour, 9 minutes and 6 seconds. And Mr. Ruto then says, do you understand me? And the crowd says yes. And he says, and the Constitution guarantees the rights of every Kenyan. An unidentified speaker of the crowd then say yes. Mr. William Ruto says, do you understand me or not? The response is, we do. He then says this, Kenyans fighting against Kenyans is not on ODM's agenda. ODM's struggle is against the poverty, unemployment, and discrimination. The response is yes. And he continues that we have experienced in Kenya during all these years. In square brackets below it says there's applause from the crowd at 1 hour, 9 minutes and 34 seconds. And Mr. Ruto continues and says this, that's indeed our struggle. Do you understand me or not? The response is we do. He emphasizes again, Kenyans fighting each other. If you want to know about it, ask Moi and Kibaki. They're the ones that know about that. There's applause from the crowd in square brackets. And he says, are you with me or not? The response is, yes, we are. And then he says this, and all of them are with the PNU. They are the experts who know about it. And in square brackets, there's applause from the crowd and the response from the audience, that party. And Mr. Ruto then says, are we together? The response is, yes, we are. He says, do you understand me? The response is yes. And then, to make it absolutely clear, he says this, witness. Mr. Ruto says this, Mr. William Ruto. Therefore, don't be deceived about devolution when they claim you will be chased out. An unidentified speaker says no, and Mr. Ruto says local governance will ensure that your children will get the same opportunities as the children of those who are well known in Nairobi. There's an unintelligible response from the crowd, and he says at the moment, you don't have any opportunities. Did you follow all of that, witness?
Nimepata yenye alisema na sijui hiyo mkutano si ya Nandi.
Let's stick with this rally first. Did you understand what Mr. William Ruto said to the many, many, many people appearing on that video? Did you understand the message that he was saying?
Ndio, nimeelewa.
The message is clear, is it not? That don't believe this disinformation. Wherever you come from, if you've got land, there's a constitution, you're protected by the law. Isn't that the message?
Ameongea hivyo.
Yes, and he's specific. Apart from talking about Western Province and Pokot and Lamu and Vanga, he's saying, Luyas, don't be deceived. You heard that bit, didn't you? Don't be deceived, you will not be chased out.
Nimesikia hilo neno.
And in fact, Mr. Witness, that was the constant message of Mr. William Ruto, not your account, that he wanted to cleanse and get rid of Luyas and other people from the rift. Do you agree with that?
Sitakubaliana kwa sababu sikuenda mikutano zote.
And witness, the reason why there's no video given by the prosecution or found by us of any words like that at any of these rallies is because Mr. William Ruto never said anything other that he wanted anything else except that he wanted a Kenya where all people lived freely and safely.
Council, move on. That is argumentative anyway, so we don't want to stay here and wait for a witness to answer to that. You can move on. You can make that argument later on to the chamber.
Now, witness, you spoke yesterday about attending a rally at Nandi Hill Stadium. You will recall that.
Ndio.
And you also testified that apart from that one rally you attended, you never heard of another ODM rally in the 2007 election campaign that was held at Nandi Hill Stadium. Isn't that correct?
Sikusema hivyo.
Did you not say yesterday that you had not heard about any other rally at Nandi Hill Stadium during the 2007 election campaign except the one that you say you attended and that you spoke about? Isn't that exactly what you said to the court yesterday?
If I could just ask for a reference for that quotation.
I'm sure my learned friend can find it until I get the exact reference. But witness, it should be fresh in your memory. Is that what you said yesterday or not?
Nakumbuka.
So you agree with me now that's what you said yesterday, correct?
Ni hivyo.
And thousands of people were in attendance at that rally, correct?
Ni hivyo.
A major event at Nandi Hill Stadium and in the area. Is that a fair assessment?
Ni hivyo.
Your Honour, I'll turn the bench's attention, if I may, to tab 83. And I'd ask to be put on screen Ken D09-0030-0142. And if that could be, please be put on the screen, I'd be grateful. Mr. Witness, do you recognize what is shown in that photograph?
Ninaona uwanja.
Where is it?
Siwezi nikaitambue penye iko.
Let's try again. The same under the same tab. Ken D09-0030-0144. It's the third photograph, Your Honor. Your Honors. Witness, can you recognize the field now or not?
Hiyo ni kama uwanja wa Nandi Hills.
And where is the Nandi Hill Stadium in reference to this field?
Uwanja ya Nandi Hills unapitia kwa polisi ukienda katika uwanja. Njia ya kuingia sokoni.
And where is the stadium in relation to the field? The Nandi Hill Stadium.
Haiko mbali na town.
How far from this field, sir? 5 minutes, 10 minutes by car or shorter? How far?
Kwa miguu ni kama dakika 5.
And so the stadium, can you describe it to the court? And the photograph can be taken off the screen. Thank you. Mr. Witness, if you can describe the Nandi Hill Stadium.
Stadium ya Nandi Hills, najua ukipita kwa polisi, unawacha njia ya kuingia kwa soko, unaendelea mbele kidogo, kuna njia inaenda kwa makaburi, inaendelea na unaingia stadium.
And it's about 5 minutes from this field that you've identified, is that right? 5 minutes by car? 5 minutes on foot from the field that you've seen in the photograph, is that right?
Ni hivyo.
You've never been to Nandi Hill Stadium in your life, have you, Witness?
Nandi Hills ni mahali ninaelewa kwa sababu ndio ilikuwa town yangu.
Witness, I said, my question was, you have never been to Nandi Hills Stadium in your entire life. Is that right?
Nandi Hills nilikuwa nimefika stadium.
Your Honor, if you can play a video, and the transcript will be at tab 53, but the ERN is Ken D09-0030-0055.
Is it already in an exhibit?
Mr. President, no.
Monsieur Khan, pouvez-vous confirmer que la vidéo est publique, s'il vous plaît?
I'm grateful. I should have said so. It is public. Thank you.
Raila Odinga led his troops in a show of might and numbers in a region he expects to get the highest support, going by opinion poll results on regional trends. All the Pentagon members were present. They urged their supporters to turn out in large numbers on December the 27th and cast their vote.
Ni wakati wa mabadiliko. It is a generational change and nothing less than that. Nastaki waache wapi? Nyuma. Nataka washikane na Wakenya wote ili tujenge nchi moja, nchi ya Wakenya.
Na kusema kweli, leo I can say with certainty and confidence that I can now smell the air of freedom.
They claimed that President Mwai Kibaki had run out of ideas and was now busy dishing out new districts haphazardly. The ODM leaders also claimed President Mwai Kibaki cannot be trusted.
Na bwana Kibaki anakwenda nyumbani, Agwambo anakuwa rais tarehe 28. Ile imebaki sasa ni sisi kupiga kura, ihesabiwe Kibaki ameshindwa na ngapi.
The voter turnout is now the key. Kule Nairobi, hawa jamaa wana njama mbovu. Wanasema ati wanaweza tega Raila kule Kibira asipite, lakini apate kura za kitaifa.
Raila said he stood for real change that would reduce poverty levels, check corruption, ensure equal distribution of resources, and deliver a new constitution for Kenyans. The leaders praised former permanent secretary in charge of governance and ethics, John Githongo, for his vigorous campaign against corruption and pledged round-the-clock security for him should ODM win the election.
Alipoenda kwa Kibaki, Kibaki mwenyewe alimwambia ati wewe kijana, ujui mambo haya. Vile wale jamaa wamefanya ndivyo haya maneno yanayofanywa katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Sawa? Bwana Githongo anaishi uhamishoni kule Uingereza na yeye ni Mkenya. Tukishika utawala mwezi ujao, Bwana Githongo watarudi nyumbani.
The ODM leaders also said they stood for peace and condemned leaders perpetrating violence.
Kibaki atakuja hapa wiki hii, sivyo? Mimi nataka kuambia nyinyi, akija apokelewe, sawa? Maana yake hata mimi nilienda kufanya kampeni kule Udhaya kwao. Sawa?
The ODM presidential candidate had begun his campaigns in Mosop and Nandi Hills in the morning in the company of Pentagon member Najib Balala and ODM chairman Henry Kosgei. At the same time, another ODM group led by presidential running mate Musalia Mudavadi and William Ruto were in Rarieda and Ugenya. In Rarieda, ODM's engineer Nicholas Gumbo is battling it out with Minister Raphael Tuju and lawyer Otiende Amolo of NAC. In Ugenya, it is James Orengo versus Steve Mwanga, who defected to KADU after being disgruntled over ODM nominations.
Kura ni ya Agwambo ama ni ya Kibaki?
But Mudavadi and Ruto were here to drum up support for ODM candidates advocating for the three-piece pattern of voting. It is in Nyanza province where Raila Odinga has the highest rating according to opinion polls, and he told Kisumu residents that he's confident he's ahead in the race to State House. Alex Chamwada, KTN, Kisumu.
Witness, I suggest to you the photographs you saw a moment ago, the photographs of the field, is in fact Nandi Hills Stadium. Would you agree with that or not?
Siwezi nikakubali kwa sababu wingi wa watu naona ni hawa, lakini baada ya kumaliza nimeona huyo mtangazaji anasema Kisumu, sijui Kisumu.
Witness, the field, the empty field that you saw just before this video, that field is in fact the place known as Nandi Hill Stadium. Is that right?
Nilisema inaonekana ni hivyo.
Witness, I can put it on the screen again if it helps you. Do you remember looking at a photograph just before this video of a field, a large field? Do you remember seeing that just before this video?
Ndio.
Counsel, so we don't go through this for nothing. The witness's testimony, when you showed him the field and put the proposition to him, that there was the field, something to that effect. His testimony was, it appears to be so. That's what I recall. So the question now is whether there is no place called a field, and there's only the stadium. In other words, are we eliminating the suggestion hanging in the air that there are two different places in Nandi Hills? One place is the field, the other place is the stadium. Are we saying that that is not the case?
Witness, I'm grateful, Mr. President. Witness, your evidence is that the stadium, Nandi Hill Stadium that you're talking about, is 5 minutes from a field. Is that right?
Nimesema hivyo.
And it's in fact 5 minutes from the field that you saw on your screen a moment ago. Is that correct?
Ile mimi najua kwenda Nandi Hills ni dakika 5 nimefika katika kiwanja.
So to be clear, Mr. Witness, your evidence is there is a stadium and also a field that you've recognized in the photograph. Is that right?
No, let's take it one stage at a time. Let's not splice the propositions. Let's first of all establish whether there is a stadium and then a field. Once we've done that, then we can go to the process of whether the field was what he recognized in the photo.
A witness, is it the case, is it your evidence that in Nandi Hills there is a location called Nandi Hill Stadium and then also a field?
A different place called a field.
Sio hivyo, Nandi tunajua uwanja yenye iko tofauti ni ya golf na haifanyiwi mikutano.
We'll do this the long way, witness. Let's go back to tab 83.
Can you look at the clock now? Tell us when. We've got 2 minutes.
You know, we can always break now.
All right, and return.
There may be a number of questions, I think, to take the witness through.
So we might as well take the lunch break at this time. Witness, we will now be taking our lunch break. We will be resuming the hearing at 2:30. The court officer will usher you out of the courtroom once the blind is down. Okay, thank you.
Your Honours, can I perhaps indicate at this stage, before we go into closed session, that I have received a response from the VW on the proposition which the court asked us to investigate yesterday afternoon. If I can perhaps do that before the witness returns after the lunch, I can inform the court of the circumstances.
All right. Can you do it quickly before John?
I would like to properly read the email yet. I've just received it.
All right, okay. So we'll do it after lunch then.